Welcome to the Church Safety Guys broadcast with hosts James McCarvey, Paul Buckner, and Mike Scully. Together they make up the Church Safety Guys. Their mission to inspire, influence, and impact church safety teams. Join us for the next hour as we talk about all things church safety and security. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, join one of our church safety and security communities online, and share this broadcast with your church.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Sunday night broadcast of the Church Safety Guys. I am James, and this evening we're going to do things a little bit different. It's actually just myself this evening, and we are actually editing the length of tonight's broadcast. And initially our plan was to actually not have a broadcast this evening because of Super Bowl and everyone doing church activities and that sort of thing. But we decided to push ahead and do it earlier, and so we've got some great content for this evening we wanted to share with you. We wanted to get the word out, and so as always, we appreciate you joining us tonight. So if you are joining us at a later time on YouTube, feel free to click like and subscribe on the lower right-hand corner of the page. And then if you're joining us from a podcast method, please take the time and hit like and subscribe on Amazon or Apple or wherever you're listening to us in that method. As always, you're welcome to post in the comments where you're listening from, what church you're with, and like normal, that actually helps us gear up and figure out where our demographics are listening, and that kind of helps us out some. So we had an opportunity this past week to actually reach out and connect with a gentleman you probably have never heard from before or heard about. And his name is Charlie Minn. Now, for those of you that like real crime documentaries, he is pretty much a legend in that area. And you can go to Amazon and you can type in Charlie Minn, and all of his movies, or quite a few of his movies, will come up on Amazon, so you can watch what his work is. But recently, he actually met with the folks at Sutherland Springs in First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs, Texas, with Pastor Frank Pomeroy, and also with Stephen Williford. And he created a very realistic documentary of November 5th and what happened November 5th, 2017 with the active shooter at the Sutherland Springs Church. And when we found out that this was actually being released, and it's actually being released in Texas, in El Paso, this coming Friday, the 12th, and then the rest of Texas on, I believe it's the 26th, when we found out that he had done this movie on those events, I reached out to him and asked him if he would consider coming on and talking to us and the Church Safety Guys, and talking to the church community about the importance of what happened that day and understanding the true details. Now, if you haven't gotten a chance to go back in some of our archives and hear our interviews with Stephen Williford and Frank Pomeroy, please do so. They're actually on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and you can access those. But the reality is that those are probably some of the most life-changing broadcasts that we've done, and we continuously get feedback from you folks, which is awesome, about how that's really impacted their church's leadership's perspective on security and safety. And so the First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas, was the worst Texas active shooter situation in the history of Texas. It is, I think, listed as one of the top 5 in U.S. history, and certainly the top number 1 for church history in the United States. And, a lot of times when I talk to the other guys about doing a broadcast this evening, and we were talking about, we got a chance to meet with the director and kind of interview him and talk about his film. One of the things that we discussed was the fact that a lot of times as we move on through our lives, we tend to forget important history of what's happened. And sometimes we forget what's gotten us to a certain point. For example, this year is the 20th anniversary of September 11th. And so we have an entire generation that unfortunately doesn't remember that, doesn't know that. But those of us that do remember it with honor, and remember those individuals very seriously. And so one of the reasons that I love this movie with director Minn that he's put together is because he's actually captured very passionately and very strongly some of the essence of that community coming together before, during, and after that tragic event. So I would encourage you all to listen to the previous broadcasts with Frank Pomeroy and Stephen Williford. And I would also encourage you to reach out. If you're in the Texas area, definitely go see this when it releases coming up this month. And stay tuned, and as it releases nationally, or if it goes to a streaming platform, we will keep tabs on that and let you know. So because of the content for this evening, because of the recording, I do just want to say viewer discretion is to be advised because of the language and because of the realism of the situation. So not typically something we say or do, but again, this is what really happened, and so we're eager and anxious to play this interview that we had with Charlie Minn for you. So as always, we'll be in the background, but we'll key it up, and it's not a full. We're not going to do a full broadcast tonight. It's about 20 minutes this interview, so hang with us and enjoy. Okay, so we are live this evening, and we are talking to film director Charlie Minn, and I came across his information from one of the movies that he's working on, and the movie's entitled Miracle on 4th Street. It's actually coming out soon, and we thought that it was really valuable for churches to see it and be reminded of the events in the movie. So Charlie, thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it, and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So for our listeners that might not know much about your background and how you came to this place, why don't you go ahead and just give us that info?
Sure. So my name is Charlie Minn. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I was working on the news as an on-air reporter anchor for 10 years in various markets before turning my complete focus into film. I pretty much dived into documentary filmmaking on instinct because of my years as a journalist. I've always been fascinated by true crime. Followed it. Certainly don't like true crime, but I'm fascinated by it, to follow it, to find out why these things happen, and victims, and thinking about the aftermath and why these things occur. So I just felt with documentaries, that was one way to break into the filmmaking world. What I do is very specific. It's true crime documentaries. And I've been doing it for 10 years. I've been able to make 33 movies over those 10 years. Looking back on it, it's almost a miracle. I would have never thought. I mean, I just remember after making my first film, I said, wow, that was quite an effort. And to think that I had 32 more in me 10 years later, I would have told you there's no way. There's just no way. I don't have time to make that many. But after making 1, 2, 3, I just kind of got the hang of it. and it became very natural and organic and instinctive. And
Sure.
the great thing about true crime documentaries is that you're not working with $1 million budgets. You don't have to worry about raising a lot of money. It goes faster, a true crime doc. Whereas a fiction film, you have to write a script, you have to rehearse with actors, and that takes a lot longer, and it's far more expensive. So what I do is very, very specific. I got lucky. My first film, I was telling you guys earlier, the bowling alley massacre in Las Cruces, called Nightmare in Las Cruces, was sold to Lionsgate. So that made every other film following that a lot easier to make in terms of raising money, in terms of getting distribution. I've sold films to Investigation Discovery, Gravitas Ventures. Worked at NBC. I was a producer for America's Most Wanted, which of course was one of the most popular true crime shows out there. And I've put 20 films on Amazon Prime. So
Wow.
I've done quite a bit. I've been very, very active. I like the hard work. I enjoy the hustle. And I love grinding things out. I come from a hockey background, so I almost feel like I'm still playing hockey in a way. Every day when I wake up, filmmaking to me is almost like a hockey game. Every day is a war. Every day is a battle. Every day is tough. And but I embrace it. And I no one said it was going to be easy. It's a very difficult field. It's very difficult to succeed, and once you succeed, it's difficult to maintain that success. So here I am now, roughly 10, 11 years later, making a lot of documentaries. And Sutherland Springs, yes, the day it happened, I remember I was just very focused in on all the details. And what struck me about the massacre was I never heard of a good Samaritan like that confronting the shooter, engaging in a gunfight, and then chasing the shooter in a car with the aid of a friend, or aid of a stranger, I should say. The two
Sure.
of them meeting, chasing the shooter, to the point where the shooter had to basically surrender and he committed suicide. So, and then I learned more about what happened inside the church and all the miraculous stories. So I contacted Stephen Williford. He was really the key, and he was very open. He trusted me. One thing led to another. We were filming, and here we are now, February 2021. We're about to release the movie in 10 theaters.
Wow. That's great.
That's great.
And it's right in the backyard. I see there too, Charlie. I am in Central Texas myself. I've had the opportunity to meet Mr. Williford and Frank in person a few months back as a fundraiser for one of the gentlemen. I'm going to blank on his name, but he was one of the worship leaders of Sutherland Springs. And they did a fundraiser for him to help put a wheelchair ramp permanently in the front of his home. So I'm
Kyle
happy
Workman?
Yes, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That's it is great. It's kind of funny because I went onto Amazon after I talked to you on the phone. I went onto Amazon to kind of look through some of your past movies, and the one that stood out to me was the Where's Robert Fisher, and I think it was about 3 or 4 months ago, like I was going through Amazon, and I'm a big Criminal Minds fan myself, and true crime, and it popped up, and I was like, oh, I'll watch this because it looks interesting. That one that you did is fascinating. Like I was sitting on the edge of my seat, and it was very well done. A lot of times if I'm working or doing something around the house, I'll turn the TV on and have that, in the background, and I had to stop because I couldn't just watch it. It kept pulling me into the story. But and I have actually gotten a chance to watch some of Parkland, which I think is really fascinating too. And I know with the Parkland one, there's still a lot of discussion about active shooters in general and how an individual walks through the building and how to respond to that, and just analysis of what happened and what went wrong in that situation. But for the sake of our listeners, the Sutherland Springs movie that's coming out is, and we've shared it a few times in our groups, but it's actually called Miracle on 4th Street, and it goes through. And Charlie, how many people did you interview for that?
Roughly 10 to 15 people.
Okay. And you just went through the church and kind of highlighted the new building that they built?
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. The church, they were approached by a very significant person who constructs buildings and whatnot, and this man came forward and basically did the entire church for nothing. The church got a free church, and
Wow.
great for them. It's an absolutely modernized, state-of-the-art, spectacular structure, and it came at a great price. Obviously, came at a huge price, but I think that's part of the comeback. A setback sets up a comeback. Evil did not win. We have a community that was absolutely reeling from this massacre, and they've really turned it around. They've come a very long way. I'm so proud of the people there. That it's a tiny community. I mean, if people don't know, Sutherland Springs is about 600 people. Everybody knows everybody. There's literally like one post office, maybe one restaurant, and there's like a rule: if you're not friendly, don't go to Sutherland Springs. So
I love it.
roughly 10% of the population was inside that church that morning.
Sure.
When Evil walked in, and the killer, who I don't mention his name in the film, he was a white male from New Braunfels, and he was actually looking for his mother-in-law, and we touch on that lightly in the movie, because all the focus is on the innocent people inside that church, the families, the survivors, the Great Samaritans. I think we should call them Great Samaritans, not Good Samaritans.
I love it.
And a lot of people showed a lot of courage and humanity that day inside that church.
It did. Yeah, we were able to talk through a few stories when we had Frank, Pastor Frank came on our broadcast in the past. We also spoke with Stephen Wilford. We're blessed to be able to hear stories from both of them, and I'm sure you've been able to capture so well in this movie. So we're extremely looking forward to that. It's been a moving story for us. Like I said, we were blessed to be able to have them on the broadcast, and there are just so many stories that Frank alluded to of folks that day and what happened during all of the chaos, during all of the deadly part of that day, but just some miraculous human stories that come out of that. And it's just amazing to be able to know that there's going to be a movie, and you were part of that to put this out here. It's a story that needs telling, and I'm glad that that's going to be the case.
All right, so we are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will actually play the remainder of this interview and also the trailer. For those of you that haven't seen it, you can stay with us, and we'll be right back.
With over 50 years of experience with religious and nonprofit organizations, Thomas Alexander Insurance and Associates understands that your congregation is different from a traditional business. We're here to fulfill your needs, coming to you while creating a personal plan for your budget and size. From your local community to around the globe, we are advocates for you. Thomas Alexander Insurance and Associates, your partner in service.
Even at church, bad things can happen. Medical emergencies, active shooters, predators, even domestic disputes. Is your church, is your ministry, is your sanctuary prepared? Do you have a safety or security team? Find out how you can be with James McGarvey's new book, The Case for Church Safety and Security. James McGarvey's experience and training, along with a biblical foundation, bring much needed information in today's trying times. It offers a true biblical perspective for starting, keeping, and growing a safety or security ministry in your church or place of worship. The Case for Church Safety and Security, a brand new book, includes a special foreword by Frank Pomeroy, the pastor at the First Baptist Church, Sutherland Springs, Texas, where they experienced the worst active shooter in U.S. history. This compelling book shares insight on preparing yourself and your church from potential threats with a biblical worldview. Start your journey to a more secure ministry and worship freely, knowing you're safe. Get more information now at churchsafetyguys.com and pick up your copy today.
The Church Safety Guys is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping equip, train, and disciple church safety and security teams. We are about all things church safety and security, which starts with a ministry mindset and a servant's heart. We are protectors, guardians, ambassadors, and shepherds. We help church and place of worship safety and security teams all over the United States through our broadcasts, online communities, conferences, trainings, resources, and products. Help us reach more churches in impactful ways by considering becoming a monthly ministry partner. $2, $5, $20 a month will help us continue to provide these resources.
Well, good evening and welcome back from the break. If you are just joining us on YouTube or a podcast channel, make sure to click like and subscribe in the lower right-hand corner. And tonight we are playing an interview that we did with film director Charlie Minn. And Charlie is releasing this coming Friday, February 12th in El Paso, the movie Miracle on 4th Street. And for other information on theaters that might be releasing it near you, visit his website at miracleon4th.com. So now I will key up the remainder of this interview with Charlie. One of the questions, coming back from a break, one of the questions that I had for you, Charlie, was I know every time you do a different movie, you have different surprises pop up during the filming. What do you think was your largest surprise with this particular movie?
I would say some of the stories that occurred inside the church. There was a girl who was shot in her eyeglasses. I'd never heard of such a thing. Her eyeglasses flew off her head. She didn't get hit, but her eyeglasses did. So, how close can you get? And then a 5-year-old kid takes 5 bullets, a weapon of war, and a few months later, he's throwing up the first pitch at a San Antonio Missions game.
Yeah.
Another kid was shot, I believe, 7 times. Half a year later, he's walking across the podium at his high school graduation. A standing ovation. So, I mean, these are the stories that I live for. Those stories of guts, humanity, courage, and the most beautiful part of the human being is guts. If you have guts, people will respect you.
Sure. That's great.
Yeah, and the guys will agree with me. When we went through the process of talking to Pastor Frank and Stephen, it was very moving. All of us learned so much that we had never known before, just from. And I think I mentioned that to you. Obviously, when you and I were talking on the phone, but obviously CNN and Fox and the news doesn't always portray everything exactly how it happened. Sometimes there's a lot of miscommunication there. So it's interesting actually going back, and I would say that very much that story of being able to talk to them and hear what really happened firsthand, that really impacted us as well, from the aspect of, I remember exactly what I was doing when that happened. To me, that was a September 11th, because we live, breathe, church security and safety, and so when we hear one church have that type of situation, when one church suffers, we all suffer for them. So to me, that was kind of like, oh my gosh, I wish I was there. I wish I could do something to help in that, in that situation. So it was very moving to talk to them, and I think we definitely felt the same way, having them on the show. We're going to take a quick break from questions for Charlie, and I'm actually going to go ahead and play the trailer so you guys can actually see it firsthand. And then after, it's just a couple minutes, and then after that, we'll go back and wrap up some extra questions for him. So hang tight, and I will actually play it here.
I never thought that I would see the devil fighting God with my own eyes.
Evil came to small town Texas. The gravity of what had happened in a church on a Sunday morning.
My daughter came into the room and said, "Dad, there's someone in black tactical gear shooting up the church." We're just such a small community, and all we have is a sheriff's department. We don't have a police department. Six out of 6 rounds, I hit him, but he had on Class 3 body armor. He was able to get into his vehicle and ran down the road just as fast as he could.
He ran up to my window, briefed me. He says, "That son of a bitch just shot up the church," and we made chase.
The shooter was coming down through here with us hot on his heels. He turned the corner here and went straight through that fence. I had my sights to the rifle trained on the driver's side of the car, and I was yelling, "Get out of the car, get out of the car."
And so the next Sunday, we debated, do we have church? Do we just cancel everything? And then we went back to evil cannot win, and love never fails, so let's have church.
I see how life moves on and how these beautiful souls have beautiful families and how everybody has stayed united.
Every one of the survivors is a miracle.
There are so many that took so many shots that you would think they would be totally incapacitated. We're not victims, we're victors.
Okay, so we're back, and that was just the Miracle on 4th Street trailer, and you can definitely check out their website, and you can Google Miracle on 4th Street or go to miracleon4thstreet.com, and it actually lists all of the theaters coming up. Right now it's a limited release in Texas, and hopefully we can convince Charlie to release it a few other places, so that we get to see it too. But I'm going to toss it over to Paul, and I know you had some thoughts and questions.
Yeah, the interesting thing, it actually follows on what you said. So, Charlie, many of your
by the way, it's miracleonfourth.com.
What's that, sir? I didn't understand what you said.
Miracleonfourth.com.
Oh, okay. Miracleonfourth.com is the website.
The website?
Yep.
Not Miracle on the Street. Miracle on Fourth.
Okay.
So I guess a question I have, so many of your other movies are on Amazon. Could we expect one day to maybe see this one on Amazon?
Well, absolutely. It's going to probably get on more than just Amazon. There's a lot of streaming options. So once the theatrical run is over, and moves to streaming, and streaming has exploded in the last couple of years. So anyone who does not live in an area near the movie theater where it's playing will certainly have the opportunity in time to watch the movie.
I very much want to see this movie. I've got a lot of interest in it to begin with my I don't know how my heart goes out to Frank and Stephen anyway, because we got to visit with them, but then already being in church security, because this is a nightmare that anybody could face, and then finally just the way that trailer was cut. Obviously, it was done skillfully. That's what you do for a living, to help a person say, "Hey, I really want to see this movie." So, I'm pretty interested in seeing this.
That's the whole point of the trailer, is to give the audience just enough to with their appetite, so they would go for the main course.
Nice, a little appetizer.
Right.
I love it. So, guys, I'm about out of questions. I'm just waiting for this to release where I can stream it.
Yeah, I'll get to watch it before the rest of these guys because of being in Texas. So I'll luck out on that one. So thank you, Charlie. I may actually drive down towards one of the theaters near Sutherland Springs and try to catch it there.
Nice.
But really looking forward to this. I think it's a great story to tell, and appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what part of Texas are you in?
I'm in Austin right now, so about 2 hours or so north of Sutherland Springs.
I know exactly where the movie will be playing at Evo Cinemas in Austin, and also at Evo in Kyle. So you don't have a very long. You don't have a very long drive at all.
I plan to go for sure.
Okay, so you were just listening to the interview that we did this past week with Charlie Minn. And as he mentioned, you can go to miracleonfourth.com to get local theater information and ticket information. Right now, it is releasing in El Paso this Friday on the 12th. And the rest of Texas, I think it was about 9 or 10 theaters in Texas on February 26th. And then after that, as we mentioned earlier, I've talked to him a few times about his plans for other states or releasing it nationally so that other individuals can see it. And so he's in that last few seconds, it got a little bit glitchy with the broadcast, but basically he said he's going to be looking at releasing it on Amazon and a few other streaming sites to try and get it out there for people to see. So we will definitely keep you in the loop with that. Appreciate the fact that you're watching tonight. Again, this is just a short broadcast because we wanted to share this with you. We felt it was important to go see and support. And again, it's coming out this Friday, but you can get more information on miracleonfourth.com. And as always, we're here for you. And so if you have any questions or we can help you at all with church safety or security needs, please feel free to reach out to us. at churchsafetyguys.com, or you can reach out to us through the different groups on Facebook, and we would love to chat with you. Next week, we actually will be doing a regular broadcast, and everybody will be back, and we'll be tentatively talking to Daniel Blevins of CV Ministries. He's going to be joining us, and we've got some great discussion planned for that week broadcast too. So take care, have a blessed week, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for joining the Church Safety Guys broadcast. We hope that you found it informative, and we appreciate your feedback. Looking for ways you can help us reach more churches? Share our broadcast with your teams. Consider becoming a monthly ministry partner. Like and share our page and join the discussion in our Facebook groups. Visit our website at churchsafetyguys.com for other great resources. Remember to keep a servant's heart, a mindset of ministry, and Semper Disciplina. Always be training. Have a blessed week.